daddy was a ragtime trombone player. My mammy was a ragtime cabaret. They had one day out a tango kid. There was a single little wind.
Descent into darkness. A Call of Cthulhu campaign.
Hello, and welcome back to Deathwatch's Call of Cthulhu campaign, Descent into Darkness, Season 4, The Lost City of Pillars. This is episode 20, and I am Keeper Travis. We return now to a tense moment in the camp. If Dr. Andrews were here, he might, through the lens of his Catholic faith, be reminded of the story of Adam and Eve who had a serpent in their midst. One of the remarkable things about that story is how it illustrates there are those who listen to serpents. You figure that wouldn't happen. Mr. Wentworth, you do not share this belief system, but you're confronted with the realization that there are those within the expedition that might have their ear tuned to the whisper of snakes, just as Eve did in paradise. Killing Ibrahim and Adimu, at least in your mind, has only solved a surface-level problem.
Mm-hmm.
The new question is, who are those that work for the serpent folk?
Yeah.
Bo Whiteman, a man who you were urged to help by an unknown serpent on the RMS Mauritania, could be one such as this. You can see he is still angered by the demand, under the threat of violence,
Yeah.
to utter the words Ka Nama Ka Lajarama. Mr. Wentworth, you and I are going to have a serious talk tomorrow, I think. I know a purity test when I see one, and if I'm seeing a purity test, then the dynamics of this little operation are changing. Where's Mr. Stanton off to? Checking on his own people. Out of sight, how convenient.
Mm-hmm.
You go off and check the rest of the camp now, Mr. Wentworth. I know better than to stop the hoodoo man when he starts lighting the candles.
Well, you're smarter than I gave you credit for, Mr. Whiteman. I'll get really close to him. And I'll say, I noticed you weren't at all surprised when I explained what was happening. So we'll definitely be having another talk. And then I'll disembowel him with my knife.
Now I am surprised, sir.
Why, you have surprised me.
But I'll take Thompson and Arbogast in tow and, go start through the rest of the people on my side of the camp.
Yeah, which I suppose means the Yemeni
Yeah.
folk, which you head to now, but you can see Bandar al-Jadi and Bandar Hadi approaching you. Their eyes are darting all around because of all the recent gunfire, and
Yeah.
they're relatively in the dark about things.
Yeah. That's who I would have started with anyway.
But they're walking towards you, and they say that some of the Yemeni fled a little while ago.
Yeah. Do you know the ones who did?
Yeah, I mean,
Did you know them personally?
not well, but
Okay.
we at least knew their names.
Well, I'll have to explain to you what's happening then, I suppose.
They're, yeah.
First, I'd like you to say something for me,
Okay.
and then I'll say it so they can, and I'll say, just repeat it exactly as I say it.
What does it mean?
Well, I'll explain as soon as you say it.
Okay. They both say it
Ah.
in unison.
You don't know how happy it makes me to hear you say that, gentlemen, and then I'll explain the situation in such pure detail that they have no more questions after I've said it.
And will not require a persuasion check.
They have too many questions is the problem to settle on just one. See, how do they fit into this whole thing? They're still a little cautious of all you infidels.
As they should be.
They share a look, but they offer no question to your explanation.
Oh, trust me, I know how insane it sounds. I know. You'll just have to have faith. We've already killed a couple of them tonight.
And you think there's more?
I do. I do think there are more. And even if there's not more, I think that some in our camp might be working for them. Perhaps these ones that fled realized we were on to them.
There's a war inside their minds as they're taking this all in, but they finally settle, or Bandar al-Jadi does, on saying, well, what can we do?
Okay, so we're going to go check all of your fellow Yemeni that are here on my side of the camp. We're going to check everybody, and the way we're going to do that is by having them say that phrase. According to information I have that I trust, the infiltrators are not physically capable of saying that phrase. And so that's one way to find them out. And the other is that they cast an odd shadow, and you'll know it when you see it. It doesn't fit their body when you look at their shadows.
Sulfur.
So that's what we're going to look for.
They share another look.
And if we find one and we kill it, you're going to see what I'm talking about. Then you won't have any more questions after that.
Yeah. I see a person turn into a snake thing.
There's still questions.
Yeah, actually, they might have more at that point. Yeah.
Oh, no, that's self-explanatory.
Yeah, no, yeah. Who hasn't seen that?
They are soldiers, though, so they're used to, following orders that they have no understanding of. And by their shared looks, you can guess that they're just chalking this up to the oddities of a different culture.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there are serpent people in America. I don't know.
What are the chances of my men shooting some of the Yemeni that fled?
They were low
Okay.
when it happened because
They were
sort of
currently
early on.
going. Okay.
When you were still like gunning down a demu and whatnot. And
But it is still nighttime too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, now the dynamic for those that look at Stanton's men, they have a wary eye for the camp as much as they do outside. But prior, it wasn't like a death march unless Stanton had secret orders. Listen, nobody gets away from this thing. As far as you know, just at the outset, they weren't really looking inward for any issues,
Now you wreck my surprise when we're just close to home.
Yeah.
Well,
All right.
Mr. Wentworth, I'd hate to spring this on you, but surprise, death march.
So you work your way to the Yemeni, who are, all awake and chattering amongst themselves about what could have happened. A large number of them saw Stanton shoot a demu out there in the open, and so they look at you with very uncertain expressions. But we'll pause there for a minute because Mr. Stanton was also on his way to understand the true nature of other people in the camp. Now, we ended on recording with you on your way to Sala,
Yeah.
but you had also mentioned once we stopped the recording that we had both totally spaced Francesco and where he might have been. And we'll bring that in current, like he doesn't appear to be in sight, and without really like a need of any deep insight into his psychology, you figure like a street kid just gets scarce when bullets start flying, right? So he's probably somewhere hiding. So your choice would be to continue on to Sala, Matvey, or to strike up some sort of search of where he might be.
This is a problem. Yeah. On to Sala.
Okay.
Demo spent a lot of time in that tent.
Yeah, so he's under the canopy, and he has, his implements of doctoring out on a little foldable table, and he had finished up had stopped mid-checking Matvey's progress, because he, if you remember right, had a bit of a backslide in recent time.
Mm-hmm.
But Matvey is awake at the moment. He's propped up on one elbow, splitting his attention between what's gone on in the camp. Again, they had a front row view, although not as close as the Yemeni, to the killing of a demu. But he splits his attention between the camp and looking off in that one direction he enjoys to look at recently, where all sands flow to the same place. And they just look at you quietly as you approach with, I believe, Jackson Elias at your flank.
Evening, gentlemen.
Evening, Mr. Stanton. Matvey just gives you kind of a nod. His eyes were sort of distant, but he focuses on you and nods.
It appears we've had a bit of an upset in our camp this evening. Some traitors have been revealed to us by unknown means to myself. I'm going to have to ask you to repeat the following phrases. You will do this one at a time. You'll do it to the best of your ability. If you are unable to, you will be shot.
Okay. Well, they don't say anything. They just... Matvey's just looking at you and concerned with the whole thing. Sala has more of a question in his eyes or on his face, but he's waiting for the phrase.
Yeah, so I'll stand in front of Sala and I'll say the words.
Matvey says them to you, no problem. Sala, on the other hand, says, I'm sorry to say, Mr. Stanton, that I must know what they mean. I must be careful not to blaspheme.
One hammer will go back on the elephant rifle.
I see. Well, you should understand that I am one who believes that a sacrifice can change the world. So make your decision, Mr. Stanton.
Well, you see, unfortunately for you, Dr. Sala, I have no idea what the words mean. They were taught to me to be a ward against things. So say them or don't.
Well, I have my own wards, and I won't use some other belief systems' wards of protection.
Understandable, Dr. Sala. What was his name? I want to say like Grunfield or whatever, the other guy. The one that Demu was messing with.
Oh, right. He had been pulled away by Dr. Francis Morgan and had been over
Okay.
with,
So
because he
he's-
came up after you shot a Demu.
Okay, so he's already been checked?
Yeah, by Wentworth.
Very well, Dr. Sala. You will be missed. Please step outside.
I see no reason to do that.
Very well. Yeah, I'll shoot him.
Okay.
Son of a bitch. Making things hard for me.
Yeah, he dies when the elephant gun, tears into his body or wherever you aimed at.
I wouldn't expect any less. He's a man of principle.
Right.
I have the utmost respect for him.
But yes, he dies as a human would.
Yep.
And we'll cut back over to Mr. Wentworth just as you hear another roar from the elephant gun ring out in the night when you're dealing with the Yemeni. And you see them, they all jolt at the sound and back away from them,
Because Stanton's killing for fun now.
because the Christians are surely starting the holy war up again.
Yeah, right. No, I'll explain to him that we have infiltrators in the camp, and so that's what this is about, trying to find traitors.
Okay.
And it's an easy test, and so please line up, and we'll get through this as quickly as possible.
Yeah, in their fear at, some sort of reprisal, and them being, mostly workers and, people, workaday sorts, they don't give you much in the way of resistance other than having you repeat the words again because they're strange to them,
Mm-hmm.
There are some vowel sounds that every language sort of struggles on, but they get through it, without anything to alarm you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there is 4 of them missing,
Yeah.
and there appear to be some camels missing too.
Okay. Yeah. So, but it's impossible to say if they're missing because they're lizard people or because they were like, things are going crazy. We got to get out.
Right.
Right. But I'll have Bandar and I forgot his name.
Bandar and
Bandar and Bandar.
It's Al-Jadi and Hadi.
Yeah. Hadi and Jadi. I'll have them do an investigation on those 4, like find the stuff they left over, have all their things brought to me, see if anybody can get a read on what direction they left
Okay.
in case we need to track them down.
Yeah, give me a luck roll.
I might be the one to do the track actually.
Nice.
Yeah, so since they took camels, there's easy enough to track in the desert. The problem would be that it's night,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and they left in the direction that you guys came, basically. So trying to retrace their journey back along that ridge that
Yeah.
you had traveled along.
How many camels did they take?
3.
Okay. So 4 men and 3 camels. All right.
In unfriendly sands, too, though.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'd be more worried if one of those camels broke off to the west, towards the Bedouins.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they did that. But the Bedouin might not be any more friendly to him than...
No, not by your meeting.
I'm-
You called them all dogs.
I'm saying if one of those camels broke off towards the Bedouin to kind of infiltrate there, that would be what we'd probably want to check and nip in the bud.
Mm-hmm.
So there looks like there are just a few to check. Your men at the machine gun nest.
Mm-hmm.
Victor, when he returns from burying Adimu or Ibrahim, or both, can't remember. And then Francesco.
Mhm.
Now, at that, Victor comes back with the other member of your group that they had gone off to do that task. And so he's walking up at that stage after you're looking at the corpse now of Dr. Sala lying there bleeding in the sand.
Mm-hmm.
And Matt Vey seems unconcerned. He gives the body a casual glance and then gazes off into the northeastern desert.
Yeah. I don't think that's probably too weird for Stanton's men to just be kind of like that. It becomes a problem if his job begins to... So he either needs to just hurry up and die or
Right.
get better.
Yeah.
So Victor came back?
Yes.
Victor and one of my other people. All right, Victor. You unnamed sod.
What was your name again? Doesn't matter.
I'm going to say the words. You're going to repeat them. You've probably done this once or twice before.
Yeah, and they both do repeat them without issue.
Right. Now I'm going to go check on the remainder of my men, drag Dr. Sulla here off, and see him buried alongside the others. And then find someone to clean up my tent. Otherwise, Mr. Wentworth will be rather put out when I evict him from his.
All right, so they carry on with your orders, and you trot out to where you have Ray Flanagan and Marco set up to watch, right?
Yeah. Oh, and Victor, keep an eye out for that boy. He's gone missing. If you see him, make him say the words. If he doesn't, shoot him.
They were a little ways off. I know you wanted them to keep the camp in view and to have a good view of what might come from other directions. So
Yeah.
they were out there, and they just have a few items sort of set up to kind of make it a little nest. They didn't dig in or anything like that at this stage. But yeah, so it's Ray who happens to be, well, they're both awake because of the gunfire, but Ray's, on the gun as usual. Of course, he has it pointed outward, and he waves at you walking up, and is there anything I need to be shooting at, boss?
Well, hopefully it's not the damn camp in its entirety yet. All right, we got some snakes in our ranks here, boys. I'm going to say some words. You're going to repeat them. Flanagan, away from the machine gun before we do this.
He looks sad to leave his machine gun.
I understand, boy.
It's one woman for me.
All right, so, I'll say the words to him.
And they repeat them.
Excellent. You guys continue to face. Keep the gun pointed away. I think the remainder of our men, or my men, should have the camp covered. Have yourselves a good night.
All right.
And who else? Is there anyone else? Or is that
Just Francesco, wherever he's gone off to. So, Mr. Wentworth, you've worked your way through I think there's, 18, 20 of these Yemeni now, and you've just been going down, and you've completed that task, which means that everybody that you find to be in, your responsibility has said the words.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Arbogast, the next problem is that even if we don't find any more lizard infiltrators, we've definitely got people working for them in the camp. And I have no idea how to figure out who those people are. I suspect Whiteman, of course, but that'll be our next challenge.
You know who the Broom Boys are, Mr. Wentworth?
No, who's the Broom Boys?
Just gangsters
Oh,
back
okay.
in London. But, I've seen something like this suspicion creep up in a group. You can tear it apart if you're not careful. How even will you go about sussing that out?
I don't even have the first idea. It's something we'll have to think on.
I will keep an eye out.
But we know it's going to be more difficult. Normally, if someone started angling for an objective that was cross purposes to our own, that'd be an easy way. But we know these people want to find the city just like we do. I don't know, but keep your eye out anyway.
I will. So what do you want to do?
What time is it now?
Pretty late.
Okay, well, I'll have to go check in with Stanton.
Are we into the 18th?
Yeah.
Me and Thompson will have to go check in with Stanton, see what he found, and tell him what we found.
Right.
We had
Thompson's kind of stutters and stuff in his movement. And
Thompson, go ahead and tell him.
I'm not here.
He opens his mouth, but just like a internet sound comes out. Yeah.
Old dial-up modem. Keen, keen, keen.
We had didn't find any more on my side, but we did have 4 Yemeni take off with 3 camels.
Oh, are we doing
Oh,
reports?
yeah, you met up? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so first place I'll check is my tent, so they'll probably find me there. Well, that's excellent. Very well could be that one of the snakes is amongst the Yemeni that escaped, or there just simply wasn't another one. I put down Dr. Sala. He's with his god now. He was completely human.
No. That's disappointing.
And the rest of my men check out. I just need to find Francesco and see if I need to put the boy down.
Okay.
Which I guess we can get to right now. I'll call out.
Yeah.
Francesco, make yourself known.
I wish you no harm. That is, if you're not a snake person. Yeah, go ahead and give, let's see. How is he feeling about
Front
you?
and center, boy.
He has liked you. See how Francesco will do.
No. Can I spend 1 luck and...
If you want to.
Yeah. Guess I should have waited and asked if that was him either resisting my call or...
him succeeding would be like more in your favor is how I'm doing it. Like, I'll use like a power roll if I roll up a character interaction for the day to kind of act as like, is this going to be nice for the investigators or are they going to be a pain in the butt, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so, all right. So yes, in this case, he is going to be helpful to your goal, which is to find him. So he had run off to hide somewhere out in the dark desert. There's really nothing to hide behind except within the darkness itself. But he comes out, he has Angelo, his little sand kitten, who is getting a little bit bigger and starting to eat like bits of meat instead of just the milk. But he's sheltering him, and he looks very frightful, very scared at all the gunfire. And he's like, Mr. Stanton, are you okay?
Right as rain, boy.
Were you attacked by the Bedouin?
No. Some traitors. Vile things masquerading as humans.
What?
I didn't stutter, boy. And now...
Monsters?
Indeed. They're very much, all those stories your nan told you. 100% real.
Time to become a man now, boy.
Now I have small favor to ask of you, Francesco. And please, don't be like our dear departed friend Dr. Sala and just answer, or just repeat the words I'm about to say. Don't ask any questions. And I'll say the words.
Okay. And he repeats them.
Excellent, boy. You did better than I expected you would. I'm proud.
Well, he beams at that.
But next time, don't go hiding. I understand it's scary. Gunfire is loud. But soon that will pass.
Well, what am I to do instead?
We'll work something out.
Okay. Is it safe to come back now?
It is. The shooting stopped, for now anyway.
All right, so he follows you back to the camp, and you are in there, and the whole camp is sorted now. Well, except for the pervasive mood of dread in the camp. It's sorted.
I think I'll also, when Whitmire tells me that his side was... Wentworth was all good, I will... Even Whiteman... Are you sure?
Yeah, it was a surprise to me as well, but him and his whole crew. Although, I'll tell you this about Whiteman. After I had him say the words and then I explained what it was about, he did not seem surprised. And it was one of these lizard creatures that initially encouraged me to bring him on.
Well,
now that I think back on it. So, if he's not one, which he's not, he might be still working for him.
Rupert Merriweather was a bit of a coward in my book, but he did have some insight to perhaps the more political way of doing things, which is if we know who he works for and what his end goals are to a certain point, then we don't have much to worry about him. But we also know the location of the oil.
Right.
I can easily get us back there again. We have no need for him.
That's true.
And he's taking up precious weight.
Yeah.
Food and water. I've already killed one man tonight that was not a snake. We can add 2 or 3 more.
No, let's not do that for now. I think he might be of some use to us going forward.
Very well. I also think the camp probably can't sustain too much more tonight.
I agree with that. I think a lot of people are at the breaking point.
Have a Yemeni uprising on our hands. All right. Well, I'm going to go check to see if Ibrahim's been cleaned out of my tent and see if I can get some sleep.
All right. Yeah, I'll do the same. Oh, Dr. Sala was the one that was always having me look in the sky.
Yeah.
So that's what I'll say to Stanton. Do you mind if I take his, what was it called?
It's telescope?
Telescope.
Yeah.
Not at all. Have at it.
Okay. So I'll
We'll
swing.
probably leave the bulk of his things here, save for the medicine.
Right. Okay. I'll swing by his tent and loot everything of use and value.
Yeah, sure. So there's his doctor's bag was in the little medical canopy that was set up, acting as a centralized place for him to administer to the few patients he's had so far. And that has a collection of drugs useful, whether it's something opiate-based or cocaine, topical things to try to prevent infection should you take a wound, and a few other easy-to-distribute remedies. And then he has, some surgical tools. And he has his telescope at his tent and his clothes and a couple, bound journals where, flipping through them, you can see he was keeping sort of a log of the journey so far.
Yeah.
And his thoughts on various things, different people. But that's what you see at a glance, right?
Yeah. I'll take that, the telescope and his journals, especially any that look like he wrote his thoughts about the stars and
Yeah.
things like that.
Okay.
I didn't quite understand it like he did, but maybe I can develop an understanding reading some of his works. And then I guess we'll have to decide who's going to be the doctor now.
Well, it's probably going to be me or Thompson
Okay.
because of our first aids. I think Thompson's is higher than mine by a little bit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I think he did a good role. It was the two of you that acted as his nurses when you were performing
Yeah.
the surgery on the Yemeni to remove the idol and knife. Yeah, so that's there's nothing though that jumps out to you that would indicate, he was in league with serpents exactly, like no dossier on his plan. Agent Sala.
Right.
This is your thing. But I'm just saying, like, there was an oddness to him. Like he had a little bit of madness behind the gaze and whatnot. As you read through his journal more, you'll get some of that, like just catching a thing at a glance. We'll say you pick like some random thing. He says, well, the stars, the pattern is exactly as my father described it would be. I can't believe it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Does this mean all these things are true too? But he's not very detailed about what he's alluding to. And he talks about his growing excitement to arrive where they're arriving.
Yeah. Well, and can I do like a spot hidden to see if, while I'm in his tent, if I see anything he might have squirreled away in a hidden place?
Oh, something hidden?
Yeah.
You don't need to do a roll. He didn't have anything.
Okay.
He had stuff tucked away, but nothing that was hiding exactly.
Okay.
Like a few small valuables. All right, so since we finally ended the day, we can do the Constitution roll for the day's journey. 17th has gone over.
Any penalties because of the...
No, I think this was your first day of travel, so you were pretty good. And even though this took 3 or so sessions, it was maybe like an hour or 2. And you guys camp well before you actually go to sleep because there's usually a lot of duties that need attending to. So let's see.
Hard success.
Well done.
Success.
Check the stranger.
Yeah, and I want it to be when I was telling Wentworth that Sala, like, I wanted to just clarify that there was like no hint that Stanton thought he was in league with the serpents, or it was Stanton knew he was human, but you don't refuse an order.
People
at the
have to tell you.
Yeah.
They have to do what you say. That's part of keeping order.
Well, sometimes. Sometimes it results in more chaos, but in a situation like that where it's right up front and center, like
you don't have to explain it to me, Mr. Stanton.
If I had
I don't judge you.
If I had a Colt and I would have remembered the sulfur in the matches,
right?
Sala could be still among the living, but
did you know that aspect? Well, I guess you did see Mr. Thompson suddenly light a match at Ibrahim and Adimu that many sessions ago. All right, so let me check here. I just got a couple more NPCs to check. See how they're doing. Francesco, doing well. Okay, now there is an aspect that will come into play that requires a sanity roll from you, Mr. Wentworth. and I'll have to get Mr. Thompson when he comes back. But it does not come into play this time.
Success.
But basically, you can feel the stress of the situation has the opportunity to cause you to dip into despair at the journey and that sort of thing. Mr. Stanton's the most shielded from that sort of thing, since a standard expedition for him is despair.
Right.
The whittling down of his unit into a core of very trustworthy people.
So, like, if we had stumbled upon, like, a utopian oasis and it was all nothing but, like, Christian hymns.
Dear God, shoot them all. But they've done nothing, Mr. Stanton. I'll think of a reason soon. But yeah, so he's a little bit more shielded. It's sort of his superpower, the same way, like, you have that kind of being shielded from murder and gross injury. So anyhow, but you're good for now. And the night passes without event, and I believe I have marked off the ration and water use for that day, even though there was no water use because Bedu gave you access to their well.
Yeah.
So we come to a new day where you guys left off on the 17th. You are about 55 miles from the nearest village, I suppose would probably be a more accurate description.
All right. In the morning, I will have my men there for the first part of, like, as they're waking up, many of them will probably still be eating.
Yeah.
I'll call them around and select one of them, whichever one is appropriate to become second.
Okay. Did you want one of the unnamed ones, or do you favor one of your...
All of them are drunk or not appropriate. Like, I don't know if I'd want the tracker to be second because he already or not the tracker, but the navigator, because he already has his duties.
Right.
And I don't want to take away from that. So yeah, it'd probably just be one of the unnamed ones.
Okay.
He'd probably be a veteran in that he's been with the unit fairly long.
Okay.
So and so's my second until he dies or I find someone better. Dismissed. But also the standard stuff, right? Like we're out here in the wilds, the true wilds now, men, and dangers do not just come on two legs in speaking as we do. They are things that go bump in the night. They are the vileness that hide from society.
This is the rousing speech.
And we must be on our guard at all times to keep them at bay.
Right.
And then they begin to wonder, is he just talking about the better one? What is he talking about here?
Yeah, well, the thing is, for his men, something like that. So from his perspective, he's giving something, sort of a speech that he's given many times before, but you waking up on your side of the camp and looking out across there, you can see that, as I had mentioned earlier, although you see it more readily, that the looks of guardedness and alertness that his men had were always sort of like outward. But now you can see there's a shift in the way that they look at each of you. Mm-hmm. So as they glance over your camp. Now, on your end of things, you're waking up, with the likes of Dr. Francis Morgan.
Yeah.
Nigel Stedford and that, and they're doing okay after a night's sleep, but you can see they're still very not okay at the same time. And Jackson is actually there pretty early in the morning to greet you as you and Arbogast sort of come out of your area, or if you're still sleeping under the stars, however you prefer to do it. And he's like, good morning there, Mr. Wentworth. How are you doing?
Good morning. It was a rough night.
Yes.
We'll get through it. The sun also rises.
Yes.
Well, it is a desert.
It was quite a surprise to me to find that some of these things that Dr. Andrews spoke of are in fact real.
Were we going to do anything about the ones who got away?
I don't.
Mount a search?
No, I don't intend to. No, I think we'd spend more time trying to catch up to them than, We'll keep an eye out if they try to return, but if they're not in the camp, that lessens their ability to cause us any trouble. And we can survive the loss of 3 camels.
Well, 2. Dr. Solo's camels freed up now.
That is true.
Oh, wait a second. No, we broke even. Ibrahim and Adimu's as well.
Yeah. And, it's impossible for a reasonable man to say why they left when it could just as easily have been because there was gunfire in the camp. And so that I don't think we should waste time on them.
Should probably speak truthfully, Mr. Wentworth, it was more than gunfire. That's what I was somewhat concerned about. I mean, I understand his reasons for sure, but, well, never mind.
He was there when I killed Sala. So,
Yeah, so good morning to you. Just
How are you doing, Mr. Elias?
I'm doing well.
It's hard to watch, wasn't it?
Talked to Thompson earlier on in the journey, and we had sort of an agreement, but he doesn't move when I poke him now. So I would just pass to you or say to you, since we're countrymen and things are getting a little odd out here, if you know, you might watch my back, I watch yours, sort of thing.
You can count on it.
I can confirm that it doesn't. Everybody said the words that I saw when I was with Stanton last night.
Yeah, everybody
From
on
his side of things.
our side of
for
it
as long
said-
as I was with him, he had gone off later on. But anyhow, yeah, just making sure everything's good on your guys' end.
Yeah, everybody said I'm over here, even some that I didn't expect would be able to.
And how do you think they'll hold up? I mean, looks like some of the fight's gone out of them.
No, I think, yeah, some of them are going to be having some trouble with it. It'd be good if we had an outside challenge to face soon. Some of them are going to be holding on to some resentments,
Yes,
which is understandable. I would too.
given Mr. Whiteman a lot of birth since I heard him speak the first time.
Yeah. Yeah, men like that aren't used to being spoken to at the barrel of a gun.
Well, we're going to have my breakfast, so good morning. I suppose we'll be setting off here soon.
My hope is that the potential wealth that he can find with us will outweigh any bad feelings he might have about it.
Yes.
I like the idea that you just arm hooked him when he was trying to
I'm
go
trying to
get
go
his breakfast.
Eat now.
Yeah. Anyway, so what I wanted to talk to you about. Yeah, go eat. You
Okay.
watch my back, I'll watch yours. You can count on it.
He shoots a finger gun at you.
That was a threat. I'll pull my Colt Peacemaker fast draw.
Blah, blah, blah.
He's a lizard.
So yeah, then you wake up. You know you have Arbogast there. You say good morning to people as they rouse. Are you earlier than most? You
Yeah.
reckon because of your training? And then from there, you had a tradition of going on to Mr. Stanton's area to take a look at the plan for the day.
Yeah.
But I don't know if last night has changed any way you would go about it. Because I
No.
think before you would have you and Nigel there to kind of give his 2 cents on what he remembers from coming through here in
Yep.
recent times. And I can't remember who else was a part of that little.
It was just kind of like a morning
Yeah.
gathering.
It's
Yeah.
like a morning meeting. Usually it had Whiteman and his crew there. And
Okay.
but I'll keep doing it exactly as if nothing
Yeah.
happened.
Don't want
Yeah.
to cause suspicion. So the normal people walk with you that way, and Mr. Whiteman catches your elbow. And he's like, "So, Mr. Wentworth, have you had time to absorb everything that has occurred? And you see the problem here?
Yes, sir.
There's a power game going on here, and I don't know what for, because it doesn't seem to be playing on any of the rules that I understand.
Mm-hmm.
But there's been a shift in there. You look
Yeah.
at those men over yonder. Are they protecting us now? Am I getting my money's worth out of this little bargain we made?
Yeah. No, I can see where you're coming from.
Well, next time there's a bunch of shooting in the camp, I want to know about it before it happens.
Next time there's a bunch of shooting in the camp, I want to know about it before it happens.
Well, why didn't we know about it?
Things happen pretty fast.
And what even
Mr.
happened?
Whiteman. Well, we had some infiltrators.
Yeah, I get it. You just shoot. What were they infiltrating? Who were they? You gave me this lizard person talk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, the best I understand it, they're also looking for this city that we're aiming towards.
So then we should be on our way shortly to look at the evidence of these extraordinary claims, I imagine, and all my questions, at least about infiltrators, will be put to rest.
No,
No.
we're on our way towards the objective.
I'm just supposed to take it on faith, huh?
I took you on faith.
Did you?
You can return the
That was
favor.
not faith.
Yeah.
That was a deal.
You spin some story about oil, and I'm supposed to just...
Story. Come now. This is proof of that one. This isn't
Now we
lizard
found
folk.
it. Well,
People known about oil for a long time.
well, how am I supposed to know we were going to find it out here? I just took your word for it.
Anyhow, all as I'm saying is if we could just have a little bit more communication.
Mm-hmm.
Can you guarantee me that?
Yes.
These are people out here, and we don't just take it on faith, something like that.
I can understand that. I think if you were in my shoes, he might have done things much the same way I did last night.
Well, maybe not. That's neither here nor there.
Interesting times, Mr. Whiteman.
I need the assurance, or we'll just have to part ways at the next village. And I'll make good on my one oil thing, or the one well that we found. You'll get the royalties on it, you and Mr. Stanton.
Okay. I hereby offer you my assurances.
Is it a truthful one, or?
Yeah, I'll be as communicative to him as the situation allows, for sure. And not least because, I'll say to him, I don't know if, like you mentioned, the way that people over there are looking, well, if they decide they don't like us anymore, it'd be good for you and I to be friends, don't you think?
I do think. I think it'd be even better if I wasn't even here.
Me too. But you are, and we have to continue on. So there's no need for us to be enemies.
That's true. And only you have to continue on, Mr. Wentworth. Your goal is different, as I understand. Lost treasure. True
enough. Yeah, you're, of course, welcome to take your leave anytime.
Well, I would like to remind you that you're running this thing, if you didn't know that.
Yeah.
And you don't exactly always have to let the help make their own decisions. So maybe you better put a foot down on that, if you take my meaning.
Let's say we stop somewhere so you can do some drilling to find some oil, okay? What do you think you'd do if I came down there and said, no, don't put that drill there. Put that drill over there.
I would say that if I need advice for my life, I don't ask the help.
Okay.
And
well, your point is taken, Mr. White.
Mr. Stanton over there likes to give out orders, I can see, but he's a man who works for money, which means he's a man who lacks imagination. He doesn't know how to generate money, and you're giving him too much leash.
Don't know how to generate money. I'm filthy in Luca.
Well, thanks for the advice, Mr. Whiteman, but I'll take into consideration.
Yeah, so he'll be like, I don't think I can stomach a visit with you all this morning, so I don't mind if you don't mind, I'll hang back from this one.
Don't do me any favors.
Mr. Wentworth, I'm the only friend you got around here. But good day to you, and good luck. Think on what I said. So yeah, you go up there with Nigel's Stedford. That's pretty much the main, and one of the bandars, I suppose.
Yeah.
To this meeting, which means we can get to the navigate roll for the day from Mr. Stanton.
Hard success. That was with the bonus.
Yeah. So that comes out to 30-mile stretch possible for the day.
So that'd be a little over halfway to the next.
Yeah.
What's the next one called?
Mushaniga.
Okay. And I'll ask Nigel what we know about that little village or town or city or metropolis or whatever it is.
Yeah, he says it's as small or smaller than the last place we went through, if I can remember correctly. So I wouldn't count on a full resupply, perhaps, but they'll have a well, if I remember rightly. Both those towns up ahead that are relatively close together have wells. So as long as they're still active, we should be at least okay on water.
Okay.
Of course, we are getting further from sources of food.
Mm-hmm.
When you travel with a group, there's always food.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so Saturday, March 18th, at this morning discussion, that's what Mr. Stedford gives you. And you have a good long stretch. There are some dunes that you begin to cut across, which sort of tamps down your top speed because it's, you're going up and down or maybe skirting around them if they're relatively steep. But you'll see that the salt flats ahead are interspersed with just the pure sand sea type desert that lies ahead in the empty quarter.
All right.
So you get a little bit of a taste of that. At one point, Francesco, riding next to you, he's like, "What's that?" And he points out to something that, like a stone, lying half buried in the sand.
Now, bust out the binoculars.
50 yards off. Yeah, it's difficult to tell through your binoculars, but it does, whatever it is, does look worked and buried. But it doesn't, there's no indication of other structures in the vicinity. It's just kind of like lying in what is otherwise just sand and salt flats. There's not even a caravan trail that's around, so.
I'll point it out to Wentworth, but we haven't had the best luck with found
Right.
objects in this blasted desert so far.
Should have executed Francesco. He brought this all on.
Well, so for my part, I want to have Hadi and Jody one of the things I'll mention to them is that we need to keep a good eye behind us in case those people that ran off decide to bring trouble from the rear. But since I'm riding close to them, I'll ask them if they know anything about this area in case it's another cursed place that they're going to get mad if we go traipsing over.
Well, they say, well, the desert's always a cursed place, basically, you know?
Yeah.
You only go in there with an abundance of caution, basically, so.
Yeah, I just want to make sure it's not like
but we don't know of anything historical that might signify what it is.
Well, I'll go at least take a look at it, you know.
Okay.
I mean, if you're riding all day, it gets pretty boring, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's part of what it stood out to old sharp-eyed Francesco's, because it broke up the scenery.
Yeah.
You know, you see the same plants and the same sand or salt flats, but then that was odd. But yeah, you can, when you just ride off the path a little bit to look at it, you would think that it's what's called a calendar stone, like you've seen there like other places, right? It's just something that depicts the year, marks solstices, equinoxes, and other astronomical alignments. You could give a hard archaeology or astronomy roll.
Well,
you got one of the bandars with you, or
yeah, but I'll probably have
Nigel.
What's his name?
Dr. Francis Morgan.
Is Francis
Francis.
Yeah,
archaeology
he's the
guy?
archaeologist. Yeah,
I'll have him with me. But yeah, I'll do a hard archaeology as well.
or astronomy. Sorry.
Fail on my archaeology.
No, I would have sent a couple men with them.
Okay. Okay, so he only makes a guess that it belongs to the same group of people that he's pointed out to you. Like you guys went into a cave and saw that Sealy, that standing structure with all the writing on it. He says it's probably the same group, but the characters I don't recognize. It doesn't seem to be the same language as the one we saw. But that's the only civilization I know in antiquity that would have been out here.
Mm-hmm.
So that is kind of unusual. And you would estimate, let's see, that it probably weighs about a ton. It could be moved even by old or medieval technology, just, like why and why here. And he points out that it marks, upcoming eclipses, both solar and lunar, he does some calculations, the next 500 years, maybe.
Oh, that's pretty neat.
So this thing's about 4 feet in diameter. Looks like it's carved from granite.
And there's nothing else around it?
No.
Yeah, I bet everything else is buried under the sand, right? They wouldn't have had it out here all by itself, would they?
No, I mean, the only thing I can think is they were moving it from somewhere to another, but, maybe it broke down and got left by the wayside. Do we have time for me to do a rubbing of the whole front of it?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, how long are we talking?
He could probably do it in the time it would take you guys to take your lunch break.
Yeah, we can catch up.
It would cost you a mile, though.
Yeah, I'm fine with it, but yeah, we'll just take our lunch break early.
Okay. So yeah, you see him go to work. He gets out these papers and some, the tools to make this rubbing, and he's going over the whole face of it. And like part of the stone is unworked, and then it's one face that has this calendar on it that he's going around, and he has to do it on several sheets to get the whole rubbing. And he's very carefully, marking their relative location so he can piece it back together later on. And he does ask for some help at some point to dig out a portion of it that's buried in sand.
Mm-hmm.
So he comes to you about halfway through the lunch break, and he wonders if you or someone might give him a hand. A couple of shovels ought to do it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Shouldn't take any longer. It's just partially buried. So yeah, you get a little sweaty in the 95-degree weather out here. But yeah, he gets it fully uncovered, and he's like, this made the trip almost worth it by itself. I wonder what these markings are. Can't think of any language. Well, I don't mean to bore you, Mr. Winkler.
And
Sorry
he
about
is
that.
making a rubbing of the...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and he tucks him in his pack, and he's like, well, that does it for me.
It doesn't bore me at all. What were you thinking about that language?
Well, there's, if you can trace the language, it has kind of like a family tree, so to speak of, but I don't really see anything in these characters that connect to any of the languages I'm aware of in this area, So
that's interesting.
does that make sense? Like if you speak English, as you do now, then there's a bunch of languages before it that precede it that bleed into it. And you can kind of gauge a writing's relative place in history by the words that are used and if it hasn't been contaminated by other languages. But this one fits entirely outside of that dynamic. So
do I see anything?
It's almost like somebody dropped it here.
About that language that is familiar to
You
me?
could give a Cthulhu mythos roll.
Oh, yeah, I don't have that.
Yet.
So the break passes, other than that, without event. He's got his rubbings packed away. You guys eat your food, which are still in good supplies, although some of what you had brought from Cairo has been replaced with local fare. So some of the flour's gone by the wayside in place of, like, you have rice now from the Yemeni village that you passed through. And as you guys set off again, you're seeing from your position there, Mr. Wentworth, sort of an amusing spectacle of Ray Flanagan has attached like hawk's feather or something he found to the end of his camel stick. And he's riding behind one of the Yemeni and like hitting him on the back of the neck with it. And then he like puts it away real quick. And he does that to different people pretty much the whole ride. You can give me a psychology roll as you're looking at him.
Not rolling good today.
That's all right. Yeah, I mean, it looks to be in good fun as far as you can tell. But those who know him would know that it's a malignant cheerfulness. So apart from that, you travel into the night. And as you're setting up your camp for that night, you see a stray dog enter like the edge of the firelight. It kind of smells what you all are cooking.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a odd looking breed. Looks like a greyhound kind of, but a little bit longer in the face with long ears. So like lady style ears. You're not familiar with the breed though, but it definitely looks half starved. It's called a Saluki.
Okay. Well.
Or an Arabian greyhound if you want to Google it.
Oh, I like it. I'll try to befriend it. Come here, dog. Be friends with me. Or wait, no, I would
roll
know.
your credit rating. He's looking for a rich. No, you'll do what?
I would know better because the people with me they think dogs are unclean, right? They're not going to want one traipsing through the camp, so I'll just leave it alone.
Yeah, so it just looks hungrily, but it's too frightened to come any closer. So Wentworth passes up on it. You know, Stanton, of course, you see it too as it trots around the circumference of the camp, you know, looking for somebody to drop some morsel.
No.
Are you wondering if serpent people can look like dogs?
Yeah, and I'm also wondering if they can look like kittens now.
Say the words. Okay, so...
What was it, the dog?
Yeah, the dog.
I think I'll bring that up to Wentworth. I forget if he's still eating around my part of the camp.
Well, relations had been thawing over
Frosted
Victor's good Mexican home cooking without any of the ingredients he needs to make Mexican food, but he was a good cook. But they have you found that the camps have locked down again in a way. You know, everybody's basically people don't like the looks that they get on your side of it. Like when, you know, if they just glance at Ray Flanagan, he just has like, I dare you to do anything right now. I dare you.
That explains that psychology role.
You know, I mean, it's been a long, boring trip so far for the likes of him.
Had a little bit of fun and I didn't even get to shoot anything.
Who's only ever had a good experience when he's actively at war or spending all his hard-earned money, like gambling and whatnot. It's the only two things that get him going. So yeah, he's just hopeful that more you snakes show yourselves.
I thought it was for the love of the job, being that he took a pay cut.
But yeah, what were we talking about?
Whether or not.
So there's sort of a freeze going on currently, you know, and you can see it on all those people on your side.
Yeah, I think I'll, kind of eat whatever it is I normally like the amount and kind of toss the rest, give the tin back to Vincent or Victor for cleaning.
Okay.
But I'll kind of make my way over to Wentworth and I'll be putting a cheroot in my mouth. I'll offer him one too.
Yeah.
Take the... You almost got shot.
And I'll strike a match with my thumb.
Yeah. Thank you.
This also had the... but I'll be kind of eyeing that dog and I'll nod over to it and I was like, do you think they can take on smaller forms?
Yeah, I was afraid you were going to ask that because I hadn't considered it, and I don't like the implications. But I can talk with, and I'll be kind of like
Nebulous,
quiet about this. Like, I can talk with Thompson about trying to do another meeting with the old man and ask that question.
Very well, but
Because all I've heard so far is human. But
it does raise the question because, and I'll look around, make sure the boy's nowhere near in sight. Because Francesco does have that damn cat.
Well, we also have 70 camels.
That as well. I forgot about them.
So, and good luck getting them to say the fucking words, right?
Well, perhaps that, whatever that trick was that Thompson did to cause a Demu to reveal herself, for lack of a better word, it could be done on the animals.
The sulfur?
Yes. The only reason Sala didn't get it is I gave him an order and he didn't follow.
Things were tense that night. I probably would have done the same to Whiteman.
There's still time. Never say never.
Well, it might come to that. But I'll
leave you to it.
I'll see about another meeting with the old man and see if we can get more information.
Hopefully. Anyway, good night, Mr. Whitworth.
Good night.
Keep your toes tucked in.
Yeah, so that's what I want to do next then, is see if I can, talk with Thompson, find out how
To dream
what the
yourself
actual
in the meeting
rules.
with.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I can try and
Yeah, well, he's just T-posing
yeah.
right now. So
Asserting dominance. Dude, he's going to get shot by Stanton.
he's T-posing and looking at Flanagan. Flanagan's like,
What are you doing?
Oh, so this is the game we're playing, Thompson. We'll see who
T-pose in the
breaks
desert.
first.
he's a maniac. He's
Have
not
you
moved
know
a muscle.
that I was once crucified for 2 days, tied up to a tree. This
Yeah.
is nothing.
Well, speaking as Thompson, I can only say, well, he doesn't know how he got in there to begin with, although the old man said it had something to do with these idols,
Yeah.
which he had taken from you to study or whatever his proposed reason was.
Yeah.
So yeah, he said maybe. I mean, we have 2 of them now, but Stanton's got the other one, or you could take this one back, I guess.
Yeah, I'll just use that one and see.
Okay.
Well, I was going to bury mine, so if they wanted it, they could have taken it. But I think part of the deal is the dagger can stay, but the thing gets buried in the
Right.
desert.
Okay. Let's see here. Yeah, so we'll do the Constitution rolls again.
All right.
Ray, Francesco, Stanton.
Oh, really? Oh,
Nice.
got to do that Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, right.
Ooh, double extreme.
Yeah.
You've been pushing too many pencils, Wentworth. That would be you could really kind of remake that pretty easy in this Predator.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Looks like our little entourage is...
Everybody's falling apart.
Yeah.
Come on. Get moving.
Yeah, you could just see it was a trying day for them. The heat. It's been one of the hotter days you've had since you got into the desert. So
Was it? We're going into the 19th now?
Francesco and Ray Flanagan and another of the Stanton Inc. men, they just look worn by the end of the day. So, but I mean, that's to be expected. You are coming up on another town here. Okay, one last task. Got to mark off. Okay, so now you have 47 persons.
I want that to be 40 by the end of the week.
Translates to 70 and 1/2 pounds food.
I hope Stanton, when he goes insane, he just becomes like a Congolese warlord somewhere.
Is he low on sanity?
He's better than when
Yeah,
he started.
I'm on the rise instead of on the fall.
He was like, I think you were like 20 something, right?
yeah, because my power is so low. What was it? Yeah, my power is 23, so that was, I think, my starting sanity points, and I'm up to 57 now.
Nice.
I like to think it was his wife, because he was like semi-retired, was just constantly nagging him.
Yeah.
And he's like, I gotta get
gotta
back
get
out
out
into
there."
the jungle. I haven't murdered anyone in months. I think it's one of those where she complains when he's away, but she actually likes it when he comes back home.
Right.
He's all crazed.
That's when the hunt is the best.
You're not getting away from me, woman.
All right, so we go to sleep for that night. You, Mr. Stanton, as you're walking back to your tent after eating, scare up a hare at some point that goes flying off. I don't know how good your quick draw is, but
Actually, he's actively trying because he didn't. The
What?
reason he didn't want to kill the dog is because he's not an idiot. He understands that there's a little too much tension in the air, so he's trying not to shoot anything for a little bit.
yeah, just let it go. But I mean, it's not like you're hurting for food or anything like
Yeah.
that. But yeah, it's nice to know that they're out here in case.
Wonder if it tastes like snake.
But yes, then it goes bounding off into the night along the salt flat there. And we go to sleep and we move to Sunday, March 19th. Today proves to be cloudy with a little bit of a break from yesterday's heat, but still in the 90s. So let's take a look here. We'll begin. Oh, you wanted to check if you could go in the dream. So you borrowed that
Yeah.
idol from Mr. Thompson. If you can give me a power roll.
Well, borrowed isn't the right.
You reclaimed
Yeah.
your
Oh.
property.
I was going to say, you got to be careful with putting claims on this stuff. I didn't borrow it. It was merely in my
It was just
possession.
there. Failure on the power roll.
Okay.
So, no luck.
Well, no, you think about it. You think about this library where Johann Mueller, apparently some historian
Mm-hmm.
that was friends with Mr. Thompson years ago. And so you find yourself there in your dream. You're very aware that it was after you had gone to sleep. So, there's that connection now you can make, whereas there might have been some uncertainty before,
Yeah.
in a sense. But anyhow, yeah, he's there, and he's usually at the front, but I'll let Chris give a description of what Johann is doing at this moment. It's been, I think, 2 nights since you spoke with Mr. Thompson last.
I think he's this time just working out something, maybe translations
Yeah.
on the chalkboard, and he's kind of in that. And then when Wentworth materializes, there'll be an audible like, "Ah, a visitor." So yeah, like he smelled him, because I think you were hinting at that too, right, Travis? Was because he could smell snakes on.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did your hunt go, Herr Wentworth?
Well, we found some and killed some,
Wunderbar.
but we did have some people leave, and we got to thinking, and we have a question: are they able to take on forms besides humans?
Were they able to take on a form other than human?
Yeah.
What do you want?
His Call of Cthulhu. Do you have access to the character sheet?
Yeah, I got
Okay.
one.
Yeah. I should have updated his new Ascended Call of Cthulhu score. Of course, he does also have access to books in here.
Yeah, his Cthulhu mythos is higher than what I remember. I think.
Yeah,
he did
34.
update.
That's his
Yeah.
new Ascended one. Yeah.
Okay. So you want a mythos?
Yeah, Mythos roll.
Ah,
No,
similar shape and.
but it's sort of an odd process where it also has to do with the sort of what you might consider to be the status of the species, right? Because those lower order ones, that doesn't work the same way with their snake magic.
I believe that I had read recently in a book that there was a status or a hierarchy to the order of the intelligence that could be consumed, and thus the shape taken, as well as the basic anatomy and structure has to be there. But also, I do not think that these snake folk, these serpents, would debase themselves by becoming something that is just even lesser than a human. It's bad enough to them that they become us by consuming us, but they can shed their skin like any snake.
Yeah, you had you have two bits of knowledge. One is from your experience playing Johann, although you didn't see it firsthand, it had been described to you by Monroe and Dr. Andrews. You think that there was some sort of like they were preserving these bodies, almost like walking into a closet and seeing suits so that they could put them on around Boston, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you have read that the process by which this spell, for lack of a better word, even though it's more of like a technology, is used, it did actually come out of what he said. That's just Johann's background information, where Ibrahim said that this was a way of, passing knowledge through the generations in a way, like eating when they die, and you receive all that. And it just got adapted out for these purposes. And so your comment of it being sort of repulsive for them to do that is correct in a way. Because they see you, from their writings that they acknowledge you as superior beings because of elder thing manipulation, which you saw when the snake people handed you a book, but at the same time, they despise you and think of you as lesser beings, right? Even though you're dominating the earth, right? Yeah. So it's what do they call that? Paradoxical thinking on the part of snake people.
And you found no others?
No. We did have some people run off, but it's not clear if it was because of that or because there was shooting in the camp at night. And
Of course. There's always those who are just too cowardly for the spirit of adventure.
Yeah, but I think the next problem is that we might have people in the camp that are working for them, although they're not lizard people.
Yes, the consortium has its fingers into all sorts of businesses and politics in and around Boston. I see no reason to believe that they could not have reached their long arm of influence all the way into the deserts, thousands of miles away. So it is very likely, but I do not know how I could help you with this.
Well, it helps that if they can't take on the forms of other creatures, that helps narrow it down a bit for us. We were concerned about a dog wandering around. Of course, we have a bunch of camels. And
does Johann know about any other things? Well, that could be dog-like.
Well, at this stage, you're sort of aware that if you wanted to spook him, you could tell him that there are things lurking around him all the time. Right? They're just there, invisible to your eye, feeding off of your different emotional state and whatnot. But that might be pushing it a little too far down the road.
But yeah, Johann will kind of laugh. There's nothing to worry about from snakes becoming a dog. There are far worse hounds that exist. These lizard folk are closer to us. It's just that they remember what it is to not be bound by this reality, this earthly confines that we have forgotten.
Well, we'll keep our eye out. I'm guessing that if there are more that evaded detection, they'll certainly reveal themselves once we reach the city.
Then it is good that you will be vigilant.
Well, thank you for your help again.
I am always at your disposal. You have no idea the amount of excitement it brings me to help young adventurers such as yourselves.
Don't leave so soon, Mr. Wentworth.
Well, I gotta get some sleep. So I'll talk to you again.
I won't keep you any longer. I won't talk your ear off. Go. Enjoy your rest.
Good night.
I'll be waiting.
Then I guess I'll click my heels together.
Yeah.
There's no place like home.
And you just go back. It's hard to get a sense of the time, but you think you have other dreams past that point. But then you wake to likely the call that goes out in the morning to everybody for the camp to get up.
Okay. Yeah, I think as Wentworth's going back towards his body, Johann will have turned and started scribbling on the board again, and like, who exactly is him?
Well, in the morning rounds, then I'll stop by Stanton and say, it's a high degree of confidence that they don't or can't take on other forms.
Excellent.
Just humans. Has something to do with their the disgust at taking on lower life forms as it is, and then the intelligence of the life form that they need to take. And
Oh, there actually is one thing I want you to do is give me a spot hidden roll before you leave the dream. This reminds me of something.
I'm just determined to fail every roll today. So,
Well, the only thing that you'd kind of make an idle note of is that whoever his supposed jailers are, they're not feeding him well because his stomach does rumble, particularly as the meeting goes on. And he looks at those beautiful young man's hair. Anyhow, so a new day.
yeah, I'll give the idol back to Thompson. I don't want to go there unless I have to. So
Why not?
it's kind of a weird experience.
What do you mean? I'm nothing but accommodating.
He's an answer bot. Just send him a question.
Yeah.
Nothing could go wrong from there. Okay.
Ask Mueller.
Yeah. So go ahead with the day's navigate roll.
All
And
right.
the morning conclave should reach provided you don't fail.
Yes, all things being good, and hopefully we can make use of this shrouded bit of sunlight for today. There it is. We can make, not penalty, we can make the village today hard success. We should be able to do it and spare some time even.
Yeah. Zamak is the next one.
Oh, I realize what's going on here.
Hmm.
John is trying to save the expedition by not allowing himself to be the source of a group luck roll. Because that will surely benefit you today. All right. So, yeah, hard success. So that's another 30 miles. So
Yeah.
with room to spare, you will make it there. But go ahead and give me a group luck roll. So whichever the two of you has the lower
I
luck,
believe that's me.
Yeah.
determine the state of this village.
Ooh. What is it? Could I take, is it 10 miles? Would we still make it to the village with 10 miles to spare?
You need 25. You rolled
Okay.
30.
All
Did
right.
you want to try to do something?
I guess if we're going to hit the village, I'm not too worried about it yet, but yeah, we'll just, send out scouts ahead so
okay.
they can warn us, or they can warn the
All
village.
right.
And then also my usual scouts,
Yeah, this one hasn't been too stressful. This is only your third day out in the desert. But let me take a look here.
yeah, I'll send Nigel and about 4 men on ahead to warn the village of our arrival.
Yeah, I'll be part of that group.
Okay, so for the scout group to which Wentworth is a member of, I suppose. Who else did you send?
Yeah.
Any named character? Or does it matter overly much to you, Stanton?
Well, I said, what was it, Nigel, just because he can
Okay.
speak the language. If
Right.
Wentworth's going, Nigel can stay or go. I prefer to have at least one translator.
Oh, it's healing roll today. Let me check that too before we get to
Swear to God, Matt Vey.
this.
It's bad enough you have a glass jaw.
Well, now he doesn't have any treatment. Let's see.
I guess I could keep that up at night. I'll have to remember it.
It's a medicine roll for this
Mm,
type. The time for first aid is long past. Matt Vey, where are you? Call
Well,
out to me. There we go.
a 375 H&H Magnum.
The only medicine you need. He's got an excellent constitution. I think he
I know.
fumbled that one time.
Yeah, and he glass was it? That's what kept him. That's what made him so freaking hurt in the boxing match. Is because
Right.
he was able to stay conscious.
Car.
Jesus.
Well, it's not a fumble. Oh, no, it is. No, it's not. Why is it? Oh,
Because
I have it set on hard. Okay, so it's not a fumble. He just stays there at his.
death's door.
Yeah.
Well, he's probably pretty at peace right now, watching the Eastern Sands.
Okay, how did he get back up to 14? Did they update it? I felt like he was at 2.
Yeah, he was real low. He took a big old hit.
Okay, so now for Curtis Cooper, who does not have such a good.
He was the one that was sick.
Yeah, but he's coming around. Why did all their lost their hit points? Anyhow, I know he was close to pushing out of the sick territory. I'm all on hard, so he made his.
Zambok. Zombok.
Okay, healing's done. So yeah, Mr. Wentworth moving across a section of open, ground over these dunes with like Nigel Stedford and whatnot, you encounter a sort of border marker. It's just about 4 feet tall. It's when you come off a dune into a stretch of salt flat, so it's not buried in sand or anything like that. It's just hammered into the ground, and there's writing etched on its surface that's worn but legible to anybody who speaks Arabic, and it says Ard al-Mata, or a direct translation would be Land of the Dead, but that is like a literal reading of it, right? It's more like a don't come here. Right.
Oh, okay. And this is like...
Yeah, you and Nigel are looking at it right now because you guys had gone off a few miles ahead of the main group to scout.
Yeah. And can we see the village from here?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
You're not quite there yet. This is early on in the day.
Well, what do you think, Nigel? Was this here when you came through?
Well, sometimes I see Mr. Stanton's vicar's gun and I feel quite comforted. And then sometimes I realize that out in this desert there's a group or groups of Bedou who have been fighting Ottomans longer than any of us have been alive, and thanks to my countrymen now have artillery and mortars, and I don't feel so comforted. So could be from a group such as that. Unlikely to be just an idle prank or anything like.
Or maybe there was some pestilence.
Perhaps. I did not think of that. You could be right.
Well,
it is the season for such a thing.
We got to check it out anyway.
Well,
Find out what's the truth.
Keep our distance,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, we'll be cautious about it. We'll
Yeah.
keep our distance, but don't look like we're trying to keep our distance.
Fly casual.
We'll just ride casually.
So you guys carry on, and it's a long stretch. You have sort of synchronized your time to stop as the scout matches up with the time the main group might, or you could skip it altogether and report back as much. But anyhow, later on you pass the same sign.
It's a good thing I can't read.
What's it say? I think you have somebody there who can say it. They tell you the same thing. I think it's one of your unnamed NPCs.
Yeah, and what exactly does that mean?
It says that's just a direct translation. I don't know if it literally just says Land of the Dead. I don't know what that signifies. He might have a similar thought. Let's see what the stranger says. We'll give him an intelligence roll.
Sounds like all bark and no bite to me. So is that probably around noonish?
Yeah. Well, this stranger's smart, but he still fails it.
And what is it, just a stone marker?
Right.
Somehow I feel like this is all my luck's fault.
So as the day wears on, Mr. Wentworth, you come to the outskirts of this village, but you don't, see any movement. In fact, you see a bit of wisp of smoke coming out somewhere in the village, but from an old fire, if that makes sense. The difference in, like, coals burning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And looking at it through you have a telescope.
Binoculars.
You have Sala's
Well, yeah, I
big
do.
telescope.
I don't have that with me, but yeah, I just have binoculars for now. And a scope on my rifle, I guess.
Yeah, you don't see any movement, and you do, from this distance, are able to pick out. Well, go and give me a spot hidden. See if you can succeed this time, Mr. Wentworth.
Barely.
So you pick out like the shape of a dead or sleeping camel. Your money would be on dead.
Yeah.
And the place has the appearance of being ransacked.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, I'll tell that to the people with me, and then I'll say I'm going to have to go take a closer look and find out.
Okay. Well, Nigel will
Because
offer
we'll need
to
the well, so.
come with you.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to get sort of close enough so I can see, like, if the death was caused by violence or not. And if clearly not, then we don't know if the well's safe, and then I'll have to report that. But
Well, when you get as close as you feel safe to, are you actually going to go within the village?
if I
Or
need to,
just get closer.
to be able to see the bodies or
Well,
what?
you just see the bodies of camels. You're not seeing any people,
Okay. And what are the...
but you do see signs of, like, gun
Okay.
fire, right? Like
Yeah.
the, what do you call it? Like bits from their, not flintlocks, matchlocks,
Yeah.
and a few spent shell casings and stuff here and there.
Okay.
But you don't see any bodies laying around.
All right. So, I mean, that's sort of comforting because it means it's not like anthrax or something. So
Right.
then I'll approach and, cautiously, but try to figure out if there's anybody here anymore or what's going on, what happened.
If they were, they're all gone now.
Yeah.
And some of the goods that were in this village have been, well picked over and ransacked. I mean, you see a few bags of grain here and there that haven't been taken, but yeah, and there is a well, as far as you can tell.
All right.
At a glance.
Okay, well, yeah, I guess we'll have to let Stanton know that nobody's here, but they have a well, so we can. We're not going to get very much more food here, but we can stock up on our water.
So in the early afternoon, that message is conveyed to you by one of your men that was along with the forward scout group.
All right. Yeah. Won't be able to really give any orders on it until I see it with my own eyes, I guess. But
I'll start searching the place.
Okay.
Looking in the homes or whatever they've got here. See if I can piece together what happened.
Yeah, so your thought is that most of the signs of gunfire here are the result of, shooting the camels that they had. For whatever reason, they shot them. And then, there's no indication that people were shot here, but they are gone.
So there's no human bodies here.
There's no human bodies. And there are signs of, at least physical struggles here and there, like dropped, like torn fabric and what have you. So you would think that the people were taken. Perhaps this was a raid.
Mm-hmm. But wouldn't it be weird that they wouldn't take the camels? Those things are worth a lot.
Yeah, they usually are.
Okay. So that's strange. I'll have to have somebody look at the camels and see if they can figure out if there's something wrong with them, or because that's a little weird to me that they wouldn't also take the camels if they were just raiding for slaves, right?
Well, you can give an appraise. You know how we always try to somebody asks us to take a look at the car. We're like, oh yeah, let me take a look at it.
No.
Well, it's broke.
Failure.
Yeah, you don't know. I mean, but at a glance, you can see the camels here are not as, say, healthy as the ones that are part of your group.
Okay.
So maybe it's possible the stock just wasn't something that they would use for their purposes.
Yeah. Okay, so while I'm waiting for the main camp to catch up, I guess then maybe I'll try a track and see if I can, I don't know, or a survival, whichever, to see if I can determine how long it has been since this happened and the direction the attack came from.
Go ahead and give a track roll.
Hard success.
Nice.
So it was about a day ago, day and a half, you would think, given, the little coals that are still warm and some smolder in here and there. And you would give a rough count of, several dozen. Difficult to tell as they depart because they travel in 2 rows, it looks like, but that would be your guess. So several dozen Bedouin came into this village and...
From, the west?
Yeah, and had their way with it, and then traveled to the north.
Okay. I guess at that point then I'll just wait for the rest of them to catch up, and I'll tell Stanton what I found out.
Yeah, and it's early afternoon when you come across this village where you can get a sight of it, and you see all the things I've described to Wentworth, and they've by now are done looking at it and are just taking their ease, waiting for your arrival.
What's the surrounding landscape here? Is there hills or?
No, not much. There are dunes, though, to the north, very massive ones.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like the only direction to travel if you want to disappear behind something that isn't miles and miles away.
Yeah.
So you can see those, they're like waves caught and crest and frozen there, but sand and, it's very imposing, actually. It's hard to convey what it looks like to think about walking into, but.
Well, so, I mean, I guess that wouldn't be a bad idea then. See if I can climb to the top of one of those and look beyond it and see what it looks like out there.
Yeah, so, climbing to the top of them, is a struggle. Like I said, they're massive. You have to leave your camel basically down there, and sand has that way of sapping all energy out of you and into it.
All kinetic energy.
But you get up to the top, and it kind of dries your mouth out when you see just a land of, dimpled dunes for as far as the eye can see, at least to the north, and then until it's just a yellow haze in the far distance where the horizon meets the sand.
Yeah.
But you can see with your track that their journey just it goes out there, right?
Okay.
You know.
All right.
Now they would, unlike you, you know that it looks like that's just going to be sand for the rest of your life if you go out there. But this is like their backyard, so whoever they are, they know what is on the other side of it, or something like that.
Yeah.
So,
but I can get enough of a vantage point to see that like there's nobody
hiding right over the
close
next
to
dune.
us,
No,
right? So
no. Well, there are drop-ins from like camels and stuff that you can poke through to kind of estimate how long ago they were in that spot, you know, and you see that trail go off at least as far as your eye can pick it up.
Right. Okay. All right. I'll take out my sled and I'll slide down to the bottom of the
Piece of cardboard.
Your shield.
Yeah.
And your knife.
That's the funnest way.
Yeah. So you come back and they're sledding on the dunes. No, not really. But yeah. So anyhow, Mr. Stanton, you see the state of the village. The assessment is sort of similar.
Yeah,
at a glance.
I'll give orders to the men that are around here to set up a perimeter. For most of them, anyway.
Okay.
Man, do I want? We can put off placing Flanagan just quite yet, but maybe some sort of elevation. But I don't know if I want him up on that dune. And then for anyone else that it doesn't seem to be doing anything, we need to see if there's any food remaining. Get that, and then I'll check the water and make sure that it's at least clean enough for the camels. And if there's any left over, we'll boil it up and start potting it.
There's as far as food scavenging goes, there's about 1d20 pounds that you can grab from people's homes and whatnot. Various different types of food. You can roll that out for me, Mr. Stanton.
6 pounds on the low
slim
side.
pickings.
Perhaps it might be time to start converting most of it into hardtack.
Well, you still have an impressive amount of food, but let me add those 6 pounds.
But we have Americans traveling with
That's true.
us.
They're eating twice as much as everybody.
Well, we hadn't gained that reputation by that point.
Right. That's true.
We didn't happen until
Working into it.
the
It was the
80s.
Bo Whitemans of the world that turned us that way. How can I sell these people more food? The problem with food is you stop eating at some point. How do I make them keep eating forever and ever?
Wouldn't you know it that a nice friendly fellow from the government came to me and said he just had a cave full of cheese.
Yeah.
Well, how am I going to sell that? I got an idea. Wouldn't you know it?
Okay, so looking at that well, you just the initial glance over the edge, you see stuff floating in it. So,
As you do when you got a well, but
like,
yeah, I'll pull it up, see if it has a stink to it.
yeah, you smell decay basically coming out from the well.
I'll motion Wentworth over. What is it?
They dumped something down there.
Don't know. Something died down there for sure.
Oh.
We might be able to boil it out.
Send Francisco down there to scoop it out for us.
Boy!
Well, boy.
All right, climb in the bucket. Here's a flashlight. Godspeed.
You want to send them down?
No.
Oh, that was a joke.
No.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to boil, see if it's good after that.
Yeah, so it looks like they had butchered one camel at least and threw parts of it down here when you
Okay.
guys fish it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
If there's water here, perhaps we could try to find it'd be too deep, though, wouldn't it?
Well, how deep is this well?
it's pretty deep. Well, we're operating on a failed luck roll. So we'll say it's like 40 feet down, maybe. Nah, probably more like 25, we'll say.
Okay.
So yeah, it does complicate things. You can try to dig elsewhere and tap into the water table if you feel like you're really pressed for it. But
Yeah.
that'll take some time. You could
And if we fail, because I'd probably figure we could do it with the drill.
you can boil, as he was saying, but that's limited by the amount you can boil,
Yeah.
which isn't the same process as
Yeah.
you could bank some of it anyways and then boil it as you
we
need
go.
it. It's not like non-potable water, I guess. But so
I think that's what we'll probably have to do. How much water do we have?
you currently have 2,000 liters of water.
And how
Everybody
many-
drinks 6 a day, so that's you got about 10 days left at the moment.
And how
9 to 10.
many days until
The next town
It's pretty close.
is
both Zamak to me?
2 days.
About if
You had a very good roll and you pushed, you might be able to make it in one, but about 35 miles away.
Well, part of me doesn't want to risk it, Mr. Wentworth. I say we push
Yeah,
to the
let's-
next town.
I
while
agree
we,
with that. There's no sense in poisoning ourselves.
Yes.
The next town's pretty close.
And you say that those tracks go well off into the desert?
Yeah, north, far as the eye can see.
Yeah. Hopefully we keep quiet and keep our heads down and nothing will come back this way.
Yeah.
Flanagan, set up that machine gun. Stop playing with the Yemeni.
But I'll go talk to Whiteman.
Looks
You want
like
to talk to Whiteman?
Yeah.
Looks like you're with us for one more town.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the well's no good here, so we're going to skip it and just go to the next town, which is pretty close. But if we find the same situation there, you're going to have to put your drills to use.
I would invite him
I
to
think-
get off at this town.
That was part of
Yeah.
the agreement.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. I want to drink
Or you
water
can-
myself.
Are you going to leave the expedition here, like you said?
No, I was. He was saying he
'Cause there's a-
might just get off if you can't
Yeah.
give him assurance. Well, he's indignant and set in his ways like a number of people in this expedition, so he probably
Yeah.
would just walk off into the desert.
Yeah.
Might be lucky enough that you'd see him when you get back. And you're like,
Oh.
what?
I think you're getting to the 50-50 stage where he might just say F you and walk off, or he's like, oh, so you don't want me around, huh? Well, you're going to have to look at this pretty face every day. I'll spend most of my remainder of the day after I'm done with my planning and eating dinner, preparing Francesco to teaching him how to reload my guns. And that's essentially what he'll start doing. It'll be his job to
Gun
stand near
reloading.
me, reload my guns, and as I hand them to him.
So yeah, now you have about 1,800 liters of water after that
Oh.
day. And as you're lying there, getting ready to go to sleep and whatnot, Mr. Wentworth, you see a gerbil pushing the shell casing somewhere. Just go by your cot there.
A gerbil.
Yes.
Well, I can't just let
It looks a
that,
little different than the ones you have seen, but yes, a gerbil.
I can't just let that pass. Like it's pushing a shell casing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like it's pushing it in front of it. I don't know. It's like taking it somewhere.
Is
It's
it-
like squirrel behavior. It's like shiny and it doesn't know what it's for, but it's taking it somewhere.
It's an empty shell.
Yeah, just the casing part.
I guess I'll follow it for a bit.
Yeah, so they have
See
these,
where it's going. Yeah.
They have these little burrows, basically. Not like they're digging exactly, but just places, little nooks that they get in and hide in.
Yeah.
And that's where it pushes this shell casing amongst other shiny things that it enjoys.
Yeah.
And then it sits there and it looks out, and you see the firelight in its eyes.
It's mad.
It's
Well,
my shell casing.
I'll give it a little morsel of food
Okay.
and go back to my tent.
All right. Constitution rolls.
Extreme.
Yes.
We're thriving, Brandon.
Yeah, it's getting better.
We've become men of the land.
It's the only rolls I can pass this on today. So, all right. Got
Some wavering amongst the Yemeni, but everybody else is okay. They seem dejected at the state of the village. They had grown accustomed to these wild parties whenever you guys stopped
Yeah,
in,
they
and
wanted
a
to
day of rest, and
hit the local club.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
but now there's nobody here.
If I were to have as much of the camel removed from the well, would it clear up eventually, or because it's refreshing somehow?
Yeah, I mean, eventually, yes,
Okay.
but probably outside of the time scale.
Well, just in case I would have it done, because I'm worried about the return trip.
Yeah, that's good thinking.
Yeah, so you pull everything that you can find out of there, and you guys call it a night, and we move on to the next day, which is Monday, March 20th. Sunny and clear morning. We can start with navigate roll.
Hard success.
Well done. So that brings you in at 30 miles, which is just a little bit short of what you need to make it in one stretch. You can push the extra 5 miles at, forcing your camels to have to make a constitution roll. for journeying outside of their comfortable pace and applying a penalty to your guys' constitution rolls.
Are water and food supplies still fine?
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Wentworth, we can push this, or we can just stick at the nice leisurely pace, not risk anything. So far, I see no reason to push it.
Yeah, neither do I. Let's, what, we'd be about 5 miles away from the town.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then in the morning, the advance party can go and give them plenty of warning. And it's better to come upon people in the morning than at nighttime anyway.
Sounds good to me. Glad to know that we're in agreement. Let's kill Bowman. Or Whiteman.
Okay, so you guys set off after the meeting, after a short breakfast. Here you stop short of these dunes that mark the Rub al Khali, the sand sea, and you travel in the lesser desert to the south of it and start angling almost straight eastward from that village to the next one, which you know is called Zamak. Is that right?
Yeah, the other one gets hidden, so it pops up as Zamak, but it's like...
Yeah, it's like the way Roll20 works. If the first one you hover over, I don't know, it trips it up somehow.
Yeah, so I'm going to have to change that in my notes. Was it like Musha?
Musha Niga. Anyhow, both of them aren't working for me at all.
Yeah, and then Zamak.
A couple hours into the journey there, you see what looks to be a child. Like you spot this child with a camel holding it by the bit that's in the camel's mouth, like with the strap that comes out when you look through your telescope. So it's leading the camel, and when this child spots your group, it tries to lead them. It was already leading away from you, but tries to go all the faster now.
Oh, like he's trying to get away from us?
Right.
Or something? Okay. And this is how far away from the village?
This is a couple hours outside of it.
Okay. Well, so, I guess I'll approach the child, speak to him, peace be upon you, we mean no harm, whatever you say.
Yeah, when you, as you approach, when this child, a boy, drops the lead line from the camel and just starts booking it, and you can give me like one of your social skill rolls at the hard level to get them to stop by your voice alone. Might have to lasso this one.
Or resist the urge. You have to suppress your hunter instinct.
Failure. On my charm.
Get back here,
Yeah,
boy.
we're not.
Yeah, your accented Arabic. It sounds villainous to them or something, perhaps.
Well, but
but anyhow, the boy just keeps running.
yeah, I'll
like up a dune. Obviously, at 8 years old, not so fast that full-grown men couldn't.
Yeah, there's no need to.
And the camel he was leading just couches itself as soon as the lead is dropped.
Okay.
It's kind of looking around, chewing, as camels do.
Well, I don't know who we would offend by chasing down their child, so we can leave him, and obviously he's scared, but
Take his camel and his water.
just leave it.
Okay. So yeah, he disappears over a dune, basically. And you guys get back to the
Yeah,
caravan.
kids are silly.
Okay, as you're setting up for the night, when you first hear this sound, because of the context where you're at, you're not even quite aware of it, but when it becomes louder, it's a very puzzling sound because you do not expect to hear it. And what you hear is an aircraft engine approaching. Right, like that buzz.
Yeah.
So,
Is its machine guns pointed directly at us?
swooping low. No, you just hear it sort of echoing around off those dunes to the north, and when you look up, you see that small, fixed wing craft, which you're more familiar with, Brandon. So in your case, you can do a hard education roll.
Well, Thompson's the pilot.
Right, I know.
Yeah, okay.
That's because I put this in here as something for Thompson to do, which is why we're doing it.
Hey, he's taken the sacrifice. He knows that he's the millstone.
I fail on the education.
So you don't know what kind of aircraft it is, basically. It's flying northward. It's very high up there. From your time in the Great War that they were used, frequently in a scout capacity. Of course, there's a lot of stories and buzz about ace pilots and whatnot. But the usefulness to you as somebody who was on the ground wasn't as apparent as it would become later. they were still trying to sort out how to integrate planes into warfare. But mostly, it was good to hear them if you were down in the trench, if it was your plane, because you knew at least, command hadn't abandoned you there. Because sometimes it wasn't always certain
if they remember what they
that
say,
you were there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but you don't recognize this aircraft is what I'm getting at. You just know that it is one of the biplane sort that was used in the Great War. So it is a military plane at the very least. But it makes very high up there, sort of a U shape, and goes back southward. And you know that the range of these type of craft were about 280-ish miles.
Well, what do you make of that, Stanton? I didn't expect to see one of those out here.
Well, you're north of the Hadramawt, which is a British protectorate, basically. And that's where the wolves of the desert have been trading with the Brits for stuff, and that's why you thought to bring that ammo that they might need. So they probably have bases or something down there.
Well, we're north of a bunch of limey bastards.
Yeah.
They've been trading with the Bedouins here. It very well could be an English aircraft. Very well could be snakes looking for us now that we've slipped them.
Yeah. Well,
If I see it again, I'll shoot it.
I guess there's nothing to do for it anyway.
No, there really isn't. But they probably were looking for something. Hopefully it's not us, but there were rumors before leaving Cairo of other people and caravans looking to
There was
seek
another
Ephraim.
expedition. Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess if it is, they know where we are.
Indeed. One more thing for Flanagan to worry about.
Constitution rolls.
I really didn't sleep good last night because of that airplane.
Nope, I'm worried about that airplane too. Dang it, Brandon. You broke the hard and extreme luck.
So that's one level of exhaustion you have. I'll make note of it. Just makes all your skill rolls that aren't characteristic rolls or combat-related ones have a penalty to them.
Yeah. Okay.
So if I ask for a strength, you're good on the penalty. If I ask for navigation, you get a penalty.
Mhm.
If you're shooting somebody in combat, not friendly, then you won't have a penalty.
Oh, I'm going to persuade him with a gentle shot.
So, yeah. Let me roll your parties. Taking a look at the Yemeni and Stanton ink again. The stranger standing in. Yeah, so you definitely see this exhaustion, mostly heat related, spread throughout the camp. That's the main thing is you drink water, but it comes out of you like a sieve and then evaporates just as quickly, which does, help to keep you somewhat cool. But okay, food and water consumption. Group report. 1,300 pounds of food, minus 70 and a half, and minus 283 liters of water.
So this,
So today, you'll either have to water the camels in the village, or you'll have to find some way to water them
yeah.
before they start to be impacted negatively.
All right. So, was it this about time to call it?
Yeah, hold on.
Okay.
Just a sec here.
So, yeah, like my last thing as we're heading out here will be to give orders to the scouts to find the village and warn them of the caravan's approach. And then kind of maybe under the breath at Wentworth that we're going to start having problems if the well isn't clean.
Yeah. Yeah. And if it is, this might be another time we need to spend more than a day
Agreed.
letting people rest. I've already worked out with Whiteman to use his drills to get some water if we have to dig. So I guess we'll just have to hope the situation's less dire in the next village.
Okay, we'll call it there for the day. Hopefully we can have John back next time. We'll leave it on one note, Mr. Wentworth, as you're talking to Stanton there, that you've never noticed how cotton candy-like his facial hair is.
Nah. Oh, no.
Stanton's?
Yeah,
It looks like cotton.
very
candy.
fluffy and
Very fine.
fine and light and
Interesting.
of a consistency you think would just like melt in your mouth. Thanks for playing, guys. We'll catch you next time in the desert.
Oh, man. Yeah, that'll be fun. You think you were on the road to getting shot before. You tried eating my freaking...
This has been a Deathwatch production. Thank you for listening.